Welcome back, my friends, to the In Obscuria podcast, a podcast where we exhume obscure rock and punk and metal, and we put them in one of three categories: the lost, the forgotten, or the should-have-beens. I am Kevin Williams, that is Robert Harrison, and you are you.
Me. That's me.
That's you.
You mentioned my name.
I did.
That's me. Yeah, it feels good.
All right. Mr. Harrison, what's up with you this week?
Same old, same old. I got one more week of stupid landscaping, and then I'm done with that for a long time, and I managed to...
This has been going on for quite a while.
4 weeks, yeah. I've lost 2 pounds, and those of you that know me are well aware that I do not need to lose 2 pounds. I don't have 2 pounds. I'm literally working my ass off. I had to go to the doctor today just for routine checkups that time of the year, and she was just like, "So, I see you've lost 2 pounds." I'm like, "Yeah, what about it? I'm not doing it on purpose."
Did you get Botox injections in your ass?
Yeah, well, lead ass. Just give it a little heft instead of lift.
Everything else good? You're
Oh yeah, everything's fine.
Good.
Yeah,
Health-wise?
In and out real quick. High five. Keep up the good work.
In and out real quick. The finger? Are you talking about the finger?
Oh no. That was several years ago. And
okay.
I got to do the whole, go in for a long visit for that thing at some point.
Exploratory
research. Yeah. Anal, all that good stuff.
The anal probe.
The alien. I was going to say the alien probe, and it came out the other way. So, no, I managed to make a complete idiot of myself in my own front yard yesterday. It was thanks to Pantera. I blame them now. I don't like them anymore. So I had my new Bluetooth speaker, which is pretty badass. It's got some good bass to it, good sound, and I don't really have neighbors, so had it cranked up, having a good time doing landscaping, shoveling, compost. And there's been this nice, lovely young lady that started walking her dog down my street. We don't get a lot of visitors on the street. It's kind of a quiet street, so I've noticed her, and very attractive. Hot. Seems very nice. So I haven't really made eye contact with her yet, but I'd noticed her, and so...
You've only seen her through her windows at home.
Yeah, exactly, through her windows and when she's at the store. So no, I saw her coming down the street, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm out front. She's got her dog. I'll, be friendly and just say hi like a good neighbor. I know she lives somewhere in the neighborhood, obviously. And as she was approaching, I think it was Angel of Death came on. And if you're familiar with that song, when he starts, he doesn't just scream. There's a shriek. I think, yes, I keep mixing it up with Raining Blood.
You're talking about Slayer, not Pantera.
Sorry, yeah. It's been a long day. Slayer, Angel of Death.
I was going to let you go for a little while, and I'm like, I think he's talking about Slayer.
Dumbass. No, Slayer. But he's got that shriek at the beginning. It's not even a scream. And so, yeah, it's just insane. So as she's approaching, I know, it's pretty loud. So I grabbed my phone and I hit the volume button, turn it down a few notches. So as she approached, I'm not scaring her away with this music.
Because the way to a hot woman's heart is
playing Slayer. Yeah, so I'm already filthy and I smell like compost. I was trying. And so it's got just a slight delay from the phone to the thing, and didn't realize I hit the up volume. So right as she's walking towards me, I managed to crank it up to full volume instead of turning it down. Right as he hits this shrill, shrieking noise, like it's not even a scream, and I'm just like, son of a bitch. And I grab my phone again. I'm turning it back down. It's too late now. And she just kind of looks at me and turns around.
But imagine.
And goes back the other way.
Just imagine if she looked at you and just gave you the devil horns.
Yeah,
like,
that would have been nice,
yeah.
But it was not that. It was this look of, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just going to not go down your street anymore. I'm like, damn.
Scary guy, and he puts the music up when I walk by. He really doesn't like me.
No, it could have been, if it was Brick House or something like that, that would have been awesome. Just give her a soundtrack as she's walking by, because she was. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever see her again now.
Well, looking for ways to scare your neighbors? Crank up Pot of Thunder, Cobras and Fire, Growing Up Rock, Slamfest Podcast, Decibel Geek, A to Z Radio, Metal Up Your Podcast, The Hustle, Disciples of the Watch, Podcast Rock City, State of Amorica, Rock Strikes 10, Potter Than Hell, Podkiss, The Kiss Room, Ages of Rock, Retro Zest Podcast, The Synaptic Empire, and Monty's Rockcast. Come visit us at inobscuria.com. Like us, share us, recommend us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Leave us a review. Where's the review? Nope, not here. Leave us a review.
In front of us. It's somewhere out there. Somebody's writing it as we speak. Hint.
So I started that all with go listen to Pot of Thunder. I got to let you know, you probably didn't know this. I was in Chicago until last night.
Oh, yeah?
And Chicago happens to be the area where the Pot of Thunder guys live.
The home base.
Home base. They're in Munster, Indiana. It's right there on the border. Munster, like the Munsters. Yes.
Is that where they're from?
Must be. Has to be, right?
I'll have to go make a
No,
pilgrimage.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But anyhow, I figured since I was so close, I was staying at a hotel near O'Hare Airport in Chicago, which is actually...
That's going to be nice and peace and quiet.
Oh, it was great, which is actually not very close to them. So anyway, they said, hey, why don't you come on our show?
Yeah.
And I did. And I brought a little fishbone with me.
Nice.
So we did a fishbone song on Pot of Thunder. It should be out when this is out. If not, I'm giving up something that's coming out and, I'll get slapped on the wrist. But anyway, we had a really nice discussion. However, I did not make the trip because last time I was in Chicago 5 years ago, I did make the trip and no problem getting there, but driving back from Munster to Chicago, 11 o'clock or so at night, I got a questionable Uber driver named Matthew.
Oh, you Ubered. I was thinking you had a rental car.
No, I Ubered. And so I thought, I'm going to play it safe this time because I honestly didn't know if Matthew was going to drop me off at my hotel or if he was going to take me somewhere and have his way with me. So I actually pulled up the text because I was thinking, when's the last time I was here talking to these guys in their home base? And it was 5 years ago, and I looked up the text. And I'd actually texted Chris L. and said, if I don't make it back...
Tell my wife I love her.
Tell my kids. I'm somewhere in between Munster and Chicago.
Tell my kids I've spent their college fund. Sorry.
So, anyway, we had a blast, and thanks to those guys, they even mentioned on the show about how they post and share our stuff they're like, start your week with Pot of Thunder.
They really are good about that.
End it with In Obscuria, and they've been doing this a lot longer than we have, and are part of the inspiration for me even doing this, and I just can't thank them enough. They've just been excellent to us.
Yes, thank you very much. I see that share every week, every time they do it, so we appreciate it.
And a funny thing happened, so we did it on a Zoom call. It was StreamYard, but it's kind of like Zoom, and so I could see...
So you're right down the road, but you're still having to Zoom in.
Yeah. Like I said, I decided not to make the trip. But anyway, so I can see them. They're all in their studio together, and Andy breaks Chris's chair. Literally falls out of the chair, and it breaks while we're recording.
A couple extra helpings of dessert, and...
Yeah, so that was fun. So anyway, all that out of the way, I think I need to tell you about what happened last night. So I get home, it's late, I've been in Chicago, been doing the work thing.
Quite the jet setter, man.
I haven't been sleeping well. I never do. I never sleep in hotels very well.
I don't either.
And so I get home last night, and I think I set my alarm as I would normally do, and I wake up usually around 6. My wife does not like to wake up until an hour later, but I usually have a nice pleasant tone that wakes me up. And for some reason... Yes, not Slayer. I learned that a long time ago.
They did that once.
So... Unfortunately, I guess in my, just not jet lag, but just coming off the plane and not really paying attention, being tired, not getting a lot of sleep. Last night, I set my phone to play music instead of
the
tone that's nice and pleasant. Ding, ding, ding. This was not ding, ding, ding. What popped on was some random weirdness that awoke me and my wife, and she was none too happy, but at least it told me what we're going to do today. So I'll just let you in on what I heard this morning and what my wife looked at me and said, what the hell is wrong with you?
Prick bastards, while your dream drip dries on a frozen beach, sand black with death. Stupidity deep the trance, kiss away your blank negative staining. Why are we here in fear, only to cry forever over lost friends and damaged pieces of reformed plastic? Reality stand tall and dream. Your world is yours, and everyone who doubts you can kiss your ass.
I dig it, man.
Nice inspirational words for the morning.
You're absolutely sleeping on the couch if you do that again.
Yes, but at least I knew who that crazy ranting man was, and we talked about him just a few episodes ago, back in episode 119. So this is going to be episode 123, the old 123. This is Grave Mistake, Warrior Soul, Shoulda Been Huge, Part 2.
That was deep, man. I need to get a copy of that motivational speech in the morning.
Exactly. That's the way to wake up.
I'm going to kiss your ass.
So that was Mr. Kory Clarke, and like I said, we talked about, in part 1, we talked about this band, where they came from. I mentioned that we had also featured them in episode 33 and in episode 83, so I have a lot of love for this band, and just one of those bands that were caught in between the 80s and the 90s. First album came out in 1990, and it was somewhere in between grunge, alternative, somewhere in between hair metal, heaviness, thrashiness, and even punk. Very much an alternative metal band before that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, obviously they did not have the success that I think they should have had, so that's why we were talking about them in episode 119, and we only got through half of their discography, so we're going to finish it up today. And one of the things I failed to mention, I talked about Kory Clarke, and I said that he moved to New York from Detroit. He left a band in Detroit that was got into a little bit of trouble, so he moved to New York. And I failed to mention that he was also in a New York band that some people may know, and that one that we'll dig into eventually on this show, but a band called Raging Slab. He played drums for them for a short while. Have you ever heard of Raging Slab?
I have not.
So they were what's called a cowpunk / metal band. Cowpunk.
Cowpunk.
So they're sort of country-ish punk. So it's like real dirty country mixed with a little bit of punk and a little bit of metal.
Oh, really?
And it's pretty cool stuff.
I mean, usually if the word country is in there, I'm out. But
but
when you mix it with punk, then you get kind of a Johnny Cash-ish.
It's like sleazy country.
Yeah. Then okay. Yeah.
It's got a little more appeal to it to me.
Raw.
Yeah. So he was in that band for just a short time and actually left that band to do his own spoken word thing, is what you just heard, is some of his spoken word stuff. And
a la Henry Rollins.
Exactly. And actually, I just saw Rollins last week.
Did you?
Yeah. Jeremy Zamora and I went to see Rollins.
Oh, nice.
It was
How's
very
he doing?
Cool. Jeremy or Rollins?
No, Jeremy, I know. He had a few drinks. So
he only had one, but it was a big oil can.
Is Henry still upset about things?
Henry, his whole show now is about how he's an old man, basically, and he's a crotchety old man. So it's...
I look forward to being that one day. I'm working towards that real close.
Yeah. Dude, he came out and just did not take a breath for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, just came out firing.
Just machine gun approach.
And it wasn't as political as I thought he was going to be. I thought that was going to be the whole thing. It wasn't. A lot of it was about his journey and what happened in the pandemic with him being kind of at home, when he's a guy who is, since he was 19, has always been out on the road, either with a band or doing his spoken word thing. But anyway, I digress. So Kory Clarke does his spoken word thing, and then we mentioned that he was kind of part of that sleaze metal scene. So he's in the sleazy kind of country cowpunk thing, and then he goes and forms Warrior Soul, which is sort of part of this sleaze metal scene in New York, which gave us Circus of Power, Cycle Sluts from Hell, Monster Magnet, White Zombie. All those bands kind of blossomed around the mid to late 80s from that scene. So we only got, we left off with their last official album from the 90s, which was released in 1994, Space Age Playboys. And then the last song we played was from like an odds and ends kind of collection of demos.
Sweeping up the floor,
basically, that came out in 1996. So we ended off in the 90s. And so today we're going to cover what happened to Kory and then when he reformed Warrior Soul in 2009 until today.
Okay.
All right. What happened was, in the mid-90s, Kory moved from New York to L.A., and in 97, he formed a band that he called the Space Age Playboys, which was the name of the last Warrior Soul album. But he formed the band, named this. They were considered acid punk and glam metal, which here he is again, like doing something that's not quite in vogue in 1997. But he released one album and a live album in 1999, and they toured the UK and still had some success. I think we talked about last time that the album Space Age Playboys did pretty well in the UK, and they had a great tour there before they split up, before the folks left the band. And then he ended up reuniting Warrior Soul just for a single tour in the year 2000, and they also re-recorded a bunch of songs, and they called it Classics, that came out. I actually don't own that album because I figured, why would I get that when I own the originals? So we're not going to play anything from that. And then from there, in the 2000s, he started doing solo stuff, so he released a solo album called Opium Hotel in 2003. And then in 2005, unfortunately, the drummer from Warrior Soul, Mark Evans, he was murdered in London in 2005, so that's put a damper on bringing the original band back together. I guess I should say he reunited the original lineup of Warrior Soul in 2000, so Mark Evans was part of that. The original lineup would never get back together because of that. And then Kory, I mentioned this last time, but Kory put out an album with his trucker metal band called Dirty Rig in 2006. And if you haven't heard this band, you'll probably hear it eventually on the show.
Nice.
It's
I think trucker metal is something I could get into.
Dirty Rick is pretty cool. But finally, in 2007, he decided to reform Warrior Soul, and he went on a tour in the UK because that's where Warrior Soul's done best in their career. And they released a live album in 2008 called Live in England. And then he decided, you know what, I think it's time to start recording again. Well, while he was in the midst of recording a new Warrior Soul album, he also got a call from the pioneering doom metal band called Trouble, which they were, in the early 80s, they're kind of one of those bands with a cult following, but they sort of brought back that whole Sabbath, original Sabbath doomy thing in the early 80s, and are just one of those bands that in the metal scene, people have a lot of respect for this band. And I think they were actually a Christian band, which is weird because they're like super doom metal. Anyway.
Wow.
So they must not have been too Christian by the time they asked Kory to sing for them. He's in the band Trouble from 2008 to 2012. They don't release any stuff while he's the singer, but he's kind of doing double duty in Warrior Soul and with Trouble. So it's kind of cool. But like I said, by 2009, they released the first Warrior Soul album since 1994. And originally, this is great, they called the album Chinese Democracy. Because this was prior to Guns N' Roses releasing it, and Kory was just taking the piss. Because if you remember, he does not like Axl Rose.
Oh, I remember the story now.
He had taken some pot shots at Axl Rose when Axl was on the top of his pedestal in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, he's not really good with thinking ahead, and so he's burnt quite a few bridges.
So obviously he got in trouble. So they released it as Chinese Democracy. They also, in some places, they call the album And We Rock and Roll. But most people know this album as Destroy the War Machine. So this album has 3 different titles, 3 different releases.
You know, somebody probably bought all 3 thinking this is a different album. You get triple your sales from that.
It's independently released, so he never got back to his major label and released it in 2009. The other thing we talked about last time is how his voice has changed and transitioned. And here we are in 2009, so it's been quite a while since we last heard Warrior Soul with new material. So I'll just let you hear the tone of his voice. It really goes more into this Lemmy style throatiness, and you'll see the progression throughout today more so than you saw last time.
Okay.
So I'm going to play a song from Destroy the War Machine. That's the version I have. That's what it's called. Or you can call it whatever you want, any of the other titles. But this is a song called Don't Believe.
Destroy your life for a hit. Mommy and daddy kissing goodbye. Now the streets is where you ride, and you go crazy. In the business, freaks do what they can to rip you up and break up your band. Pick up the pieces, find some new guys, get back on stage and rock it every night.
I was coming up with several different ways to describe the music. There's kind of a groovy grunge-ish quality to it. Alice in Chains, a little bit of that is not his voice not included, but that I really like that style of music. It kind of wore thin towards the end. The dun, dun, dun,
Probably went a little long.
Relied on that just a little bit too much, where Alice in Chains would have thrown some really, off the wall changes and major chords and things and then come back to that. But his voice, definitely the lower register, it didn't sound great to me, but then when he got up in the upper register, it had that gravelly scream to it, which actually sounded pretty good still.
Yeah, you're gonna see a steady decline in his voice. But again, the voice is a muscle.
And people like Bruce Springsteen that was able to keep that going for 50 years, that's insane. That's not the norm. Most people lose that upper register or lose that cleanness to their voice, and it starts to get a little gravelly.
Yeah, I mean,
Lemmy always had that. He started off with a mouthful of Marlboros and nails.
I was gonna say this is a whiskey voice, and that's exactly what Lemmy
whiskey
had.
and Marlboro
is a major whiskey voice, and I assume that he's a smoker as well, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But of course I had to throw that song in because how about that amazing bass solo? You don't get many amazing bass solos.
No, you don't. I appreciate that. You got an ear for detail.
I just had to do it. And I'm not sure, I can't find the credits on who were the musicians on this album. I'm assuming that was Pete McClanahan, who was the original bass player, because he was always such a badass, and that just sounded like the style.
They just stuck around.
What he was doing was almost like Billy Sheehan type of stuff. Very cool.
We need to send him some potted meat, too.
Yeah. And potted chicken, because that really got him going.
Yeah, that was that's what put us over the top. We're good friends with him now because of potted chicken.
Billy Sheehan loves our potted meat here at In Obscurio.
Yes.
Go back a year to get the scoop on that.
Long story.
I was just thinking on the ride over here, I'm like, wow, this time last year we were really promoting the Rockin' Pod Expo. We started this time.
You think?
And we promoted it for months. And
we won't have to do that again for a year.
Yeah, unfortunately this year we're not able to do that because it's about a year out. But we'll figure it out. Okay, so that came out in 2009. They toured the hell out of that, went back to the UK and Europe and toured. And in 2011, Kory released a second solo album, real catchy title, Opium Hotel 2.
Well, dug deep for that one.
Yeah. Not only did he release a solo album in 2011, but he's also in Warrior Soul still, and he is, at that point in time, still the lead singer in Trouble. So the guy he's working, man. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's out there.
Keeping out Trouble.
Now, by 2012, he quits Trouble. I don't know the reason why. I'm assuming that he got in trouble. Never mind. So he starts to record a new Warrior Soul album in 2012, and it's a revolving door of musicians at this point in Warrior Soul. You don't have the same folks in every album. Every album we're going to play has a different lineup. And in 2012, he also brought in some old folks to do some guest appearances. So he has John Rico, who was one of the guitarists. He had him do a guest appearance in 2012 on this album. And he had another man that we've talked about, a former guitarist for The Mission, Mr. Mark Gemini Thwaite, plays on this album too, which is pretty cool. That's a weird tie-in that I would not have expected, but sort of makes sense, I guess, in a way. And I will say you're going to have to look this album up to see the album cover, because this gets my vote as one of the worst album covers of all time.
Ooh, and there's a lot to choose from.
There are a lot to choose from. It is just bad. And it could have been so easy to make an album cover for this album, because the album is called Stiff Middle Finger. What would you expect to be on the cover of Stiff Middle Finger?
Some chickens and palm trees.
Well, what you don't get is a stiff middle finger on the cover of this album.
You're supposed to use your imagination.
You get weird lips and guns and bad, nasty teeth.
So weird lips and guns.
Lips, guns, and bad, gross Bubba teeth.
Ew.
So look it up while we're listening to this. I don't understand why they would ever approve such an album cover.
We'll use that for the teaser on Facebook.
Yeah. So now the hype for this record, I found some reviews, and I found the actual hype that they put out when they were promoting this album. And they said, obviously because they had new members, they said new blood in this album, fist pumping against corporate tyranny, bullshit wars, and lying dead religions. Our power will once again be felt and our rumble heard across the land.
Who's our? What our that group would be?
They're talking about themselves. This was the hype for the album.
Their power, the band's power. Okay, I didn't know if he was talking about a group of people.
Well, he might be talking about all the minions.
All the minions, yeah. Rise up.
Rise up.
Against the corporate whatever.
Very Warrior Soul. So I'm going to play from Stiff Middle Finger, and this is a song called Planetary Revolution.
planetary revolution, a planetary revolution, planetary revolution, a planetary extraordinary, unsanitary, planetary motherfucking revolution. Well, it's about time to start disturbing the peace. Do you wanna take a ride with me? Well, come on, drop us off at the police station. It's the new Occupy location. We're on a riot vacation today. Unsanitary, revolutionary, planetary, motherfucking revolution. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. Controllers are controlling the leases as your bank account decreases today. Time to level out the playing field, destroy the enemies of the people. It's time for some heads to roll. This time we know how it will go. Enjoy the show, it's a planetary revolution. Dig this scene, sharpen the guillotine. You know what I mean? It's a planetary revolution. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. It's revolutionary, unsanitary, planetary, motherfucking revolution.
Yeah, he's definitely crossed over into Lemmydom.
Totally. And I could totally see them on tour with Motorhead or
Yeah, I would just own it. Just
Suicidal
go for it.
Tendencies, and that'd be a great triple bill.
You said this was 2012?
2012.
I mean, it featured once again the nice bass solo to introduce the song, bring it right in.
That tone is amazing.
Yeah, and it had a guitar
distorted,
solo, and
gnarly.
there were no guitar solos in 2012 other than this one song
Not
right
really.
here.
Yeah, not really.
But yeah, he's moving in that direction. Just go for it.
Very much back in the kind of old style of what Warrior Soul started off as.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little less progressive than their earlier stuff, but
Yeah.
still kind of in that wheelhouse of what Warrior Soul sounds like to me. And that would kind of morph as we get into these next couple of albums So there was a 5-year gap between that one and the next one. And he ended up releasing another solo album in 2014. He puts out an album called Payback's a Bitch, and another one a year later called Light Your Bonfires. Now, I've never heard any of his solo stuff, but I know that Payback's a Bitch, I've heard some people say that that's a really good album, so let's go check that out at some point. So it sounded like he was going down the solo path again, and then decided, okay, we'll start Roll Your Soul Up again in 2017, and that's what he did. And this one again, I don't know why this keeps happening. Well, I do when I tell you what the name of it is, but here's another album that's released that has 2 different album covers and 2 different album titles, because he puts it out in 2017, and the original title of this album is American Idol.
Oh, yeah, Simon Cowell has lots of lawyers, dumbass.
It's an independent release, but still, in 2017, you can't release an album, I guess, called American Idol, so he changes the name of it to Back on the Lash, and it has a different cover with Back on the Lash. But if you go out and buy the vinyl of Back on the Lash, it has the American Idol cover. Makes no sense to me, but whatever.
He's on his own.
Now, I looked up some reviews for this one, and I found a rather salty one, so I thought I'd read it. There's a guy that does reviews, and it's just called the Angry Metal Guy Review.
Angry metal guy in his mom's basement.
So I'm pretty sure this is a crusty guy that doesn't really like anybody other than, what he really, really likes. So I'm just going to read this because you're noticing a change in the man's voice as he gets older. You're noticing that there's a little bit of a struggle to get to some of those registers he hit when he was younger. That's the same thing with anybody, right? Here's the review. Warrior Soul circa 2017 is not very good, which probably does not come as a shock. Kory Clarke still has some of the charisma that put his band on the map in the first place, but that can't save him from bad songs, stupid lyrics, and his own charred vocal cords. That's pretty painful.
That's rough.
That's rough. But I will say, this is definitely them turning towards kind of where they've stayed for the last few albums, which is this is a Warrior Soul, kind of that punk version of Warrior Soul mixed with AC/DC.
Okay.
That's kind of where they've landed in their latter years, and that's what they do. So it's a much more simplified version of what Warrior Soul music has been in the past, but it still hits you hard, hits you in the gut, and yeah, it's got whiskey-soaked Lemmy-style vocals, man, and that's just what they do. And if you're not into that, then you're going to give it that review. This is not Warrior Soul from 1990.
Okay.
It's just a different thing. You can't assume that this band is going to stay what they were at that time. Gone are those intricate alternative metal and glam punk stylings. It's more simplified. Now, the rhythm section on this album is kind of cool to me because he got the 2 guys from the band Urge Overkill.
Oh.
And we've played Urge Overkill before on the show. So he got Adam and Nate.
You'll be a woman.
That was one of their covers.
I was going to say, did they have any original hits?
We've played some of it, some good stuff. But that's pretty cool in 2017 to have the guys from Urge Overkill be your rhythm section. So here we go. This is the title song, Back on the Lash, from the album Back on the Lash, unless you have the version that's called American Idol.
Was a smash. If you think you're innocent, well, check your pockets for cash. When rockin' is your business, do you ever get a shot at life? This morning was such a drag. Now it's 1:45. Coffee table, empty bags. Start to get some booze and get back on the lash. Yeah, back on the booze. A little bingo bingo. A little zippity doo. Oh yeah. Now bourbon made me angry. Tequila took me for a ride. Stumbled around some old backstage, cause my snowman melted and died. Now I'm a rockin' son of a bitch. Detroit West Side. You try making a living at this and it Makes you wanna cry to get back on the list, back on the booze. I live rock and rollin'. I shot a how do you do? I'm back on the list, yeah, back on the booze. We're rock and rollin', yeah, how do you do? Dash crash, getting trashed. Dash crash, let's get smashed. Dash crash, getting trashed. Dash crash, let's get smashed. Some people like cocaine. Some people like smoking weed. I just love the smell of it, but booze isn't what I need. So we're rocking like a sons of a bitch, jamming over an hour. Now it's time to go watch someone strip. Take us to your topless bars, 'cause I'm penniless, back on the booze, doing rock and rollin', a little sippity-doo. Back on the list, yeah, back on the booze. We're rock and rollin', yeah, how do you do? Back on the list.
The music was better on that one. The tempo was also better. That brings it more into the Motorhead category, because that was the thing I forgot to mention on the other couple of songs, that it just seemed to drag, not just monotonous, but the tempo was dragging. That if they'd picked that up, I would have liked it better. But this one, the music was really good. I think the new addition to that one, the Urge Overkill, you said that it was just the rhythm section.
Rhythm section, yeah.
But the guitar sounded great, but
Guitar
man,
did sound good.
Yeah, his voice is
Trashed.
You trashed, and
Yeah.
Lemmy was twice his age, and it was that could still outsing him. So
I still love it. It still makes me want to go to a bar and just smoke
bar.
and drink.
Yeah,
You know?
smoky bar.
What is this dog doing?
He's checking. Ron James Dio is just he's doing his job. He's doing dog stuff.
He's
It's
just
important dog stuff.
sniffing around me here.
Sniffing around, that's
All
what
right.
they do. He's working. He's a working dog.
Well, Kory was just talking about snorting something.
yeah.
So
Dio's looking for your stash.
Maybe he's looking for that.
I'm training him. Go find people's stash when they come over.
Yeah, I really like that album. It is very simple compared to all the other Warrior Soul stuff, and the next album is even more so in that vein, but I dig it. So in 2019, so he kind of got back to releasing albums more frequently after he did this one in 2017. He puts out another album in 19, and this is what I call the Motorhead meets AC/DC album, and it's called Rock and Roll Disease. Now the cover of this album, the album art, has a picture of a skeletal hand given the middle finger.
Oh,
And I'm like, where was that when you put out an album called Stiff Middle Finger? This album's called Rock and Roll Disease.
This guy's timing is horrible. His intuition, whatever his intuition is. You know what? I got a great idea. No, don't do that.
Yeah, whoever came up with that Stiff Middle Finger cover just needs to be shot. But maybe this was the one that he said no to. And he was like, oh, okay, that was a pretty good
I've already
album
paid
cover.
for it.
All right, yeah, we'll do it. We'll put it out here. Just call it Rock and Roll Disease. As I think about what was on the cover of Stiff Middle Finger, that could have been Rock and Roll Disease.
That was meth disease right there.
He just got them mixed
That was
up.
meth mouth.
All right, so I read a review on the last one that was not very, very flattering, I should say, of the band. This is one from 2019 that I thought was a cool review, that they're actually really digging this. So it says, in an alternate universe, and we talked about this last time, in an alternate universe, it would be Kory Clarke and company rather than Nirvana who reshaped rock and roll. By the time we get to this album, and in particular the song that I'm about to play, War Ride Children, it hits you and you feel almost cheated because you're already in the final stretch of the album. It's loose, it's sleazy, it has groove, it melds the energy of Detroit's dirtiest rock and roll with the bump and grind of 80s LA, with the sneer and glamour of the Sunset Strip. Pretty good review there. The other thing it says is, this is raw and raucous rock and roll. It's timeless. It's Warrior Soul. They're not going away. Play this one at maximum volume, and if you don't, you're completely missing the point.
Maximum volume. All right.
All right, so here we go. So the song they were talking about is Worldwide Children. We're going to play that song from 2019's Rock and Roll Disease.
Another night down in the system. Does anyone have fun in here? Smash cities, so rotten. Genetic memory, my only Eden. Of kids, I'm on a mission. Black out of the innocent to killing. War right till the head runs slow-mo. Kid died when the pig shot through the window. Surprise round, let me tell you, it's a forthright disco. Like Hitler on E! Oh, what a movie! You wanna rock to the summer night tonight, gotta feel good. You wanna be like someone else, but you can't be Hollywood. Go to acting school. Acting cool. Acting school. Better learn how to act. It's Friday night. All the people will be there. Turn off the light. Sad to hear you go. Wisdom destroyed me. Now the idiots rejoice. Mental invalids hear only power of voice. Oh, it's so appealing. No school for fools, university of rules. Disposable credit card, an empire that destroys. A memory's pretext, guns eaten, amazing. The coffin's reflection in the mirror of deception. On the bitter news, your ancestors lied to you. The time exists, death and kingdom forever. Endless moon, devil's kiss, compared to the gods of imprisoned. They left me without a key. I said here forever. Forever.
I know your reviews talked about how in an alternate reality, we'd have Warrior Souls that are Nirvana, or we'd be talking about them or something like that. And I don't know about that, but I think in an alternate reality where this song came out, let's just say hypothetically in 1989 or 90, I could see Nirvana covering this. That's what I could see.
Definitely.
They're covering Meat Puppets and other weird songs like that.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of like rubs. Like this version of the band is just like gnarly and nasty.
Yeah, that's why, like I said, I could see it more of a retro grunge punk than just the Smokey Bar rock, the other albums. Yeah. And his voice didn't blend as well with those songs, even though we talked about how he's getting to sound like Lemmy. In this song, because it's just more punk rock, edgy, almost spoken word-ish.
Well, that's what I was thinking. He's kind of going back to his spoken word thing.
Own that. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't try to be a Vince Neil trying to hit the high notes and failing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of where he's landed at this point. He's kind of doing his spoken word thing over the top of this like dirty, grimy music. I love it. I know it's not for everyone, and it certainly can probably rub you the wrong way if you're not in the mood for it. But I think it's badass.
The edgier the music, the more it fits for me.
Yeah. I gotcha. All right. Well, so that was 2019. We get to 2020. We hit a pandemic, and Kory kind of does what a lot of other groups did in 2020 during the first year of the pandemic is, let's put out a covers album.
A Christmas album.
No, covers.
Oh, okay.
Either Christmas or covers, right?
Yeah.
So he puts out a covers album, and I love the title of this album. It's called Cocaine and Other Good Stuff.
Okay.
And it's tongue-in-cheek, obviously, because he covers everything from Eric Clapton, The Cars, Cooper, Van Halen, Grand Funk, Judas Priest, and even Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Oh.
And by the way, 2 songs. The only band that got 2 songs covered on this album. What's their name?
Start with C-K.
Kiss! Yes, there are 2 Kiss covers on this, but I'm actually not going to play that. I'm going to play...
That's restraint right
I know,
there.
I'm restraining.
That is restraint.
When I had 2 to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's Cold Gin. It's a good song. But
Cold Gin time again.
That's exactly what it sounds like. No, I'm going to play the Van Halen cover because I think it's such an obscure Van Halen cover. I've never heard any band attempt this, and I've never heard Van Halen play this live. Maybe they did, but have you ever heard DOA live by Van Halen?
No.
Have you ever heard anybody cover DOA?
Dead or alive.
Now you have. Here's Warrior Soul with DOA from Cocaine.
Kid in a garbage can.
Exactly. And other good stuff.
Look at me and say out of luck.
All right, that's pretty good. I give him props for that. If you're a guitar player, you're going to cover a Van Halen song, do it sympathetically like that. Don't try to sound like Eddie Van Halen. Just give some tributes to. He had the wavy bar going a couple of places there that was real nice, but he made it his own. You really missed Michael Anthony on that.
Not really the backup.
Yeah,
background vocals.
That's when it really stands out that how good he was and how much he contributed is when you hear other bands cover that don't have
it's like
backing harmonies.
Yeah, covering Van Halen or Queen, you understand how much the voices in those bands matter.
Oh, Queen too. I got 3 of them. They can nail some amazing vocals.
So well. Yeah. There's also so I had it between playing that one. And there's also a cool Motorhead cover, which we may dive into at some other point.
Let's put that in the back pocket.
We'll put that in the back pocket. So I won't tell you what song.
We'll save it.
We'll save that for later. So that came out in 2020 from purely a Sonics perspective.
Yeah.
Like that is so far ahead of where the other albums that they released, like the last 3 albums, they were real dirty and grimy and kind of home recording sounding.
Yeah.
I mean, they were cool, but they just had that raw sound to them. This sounded just way beyond that. So I don't really know.
Studio or something.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference was, who put this together, what they used, what studio, but sounded phenomenal to me. And the whole album's really cool. And to hear some of these songs that the rest of the songs are pretty much songs that with the exception of the Motorhead song. And they do their own slant on them. It's a really cool covers album if you like cover stuff like this. Okay, so that leads us to the main reason that I wanted to have these Warrior Soul episodes now is because in March, so we're in April now, in March they finally released their album Out on Bail. So we got a new Warrior Soul album in 2022, and this to me gets back to that groove that Warrior Soul had originally. It's, again, not quite as alternative metal as you may have heard on the first cuts, but it kind of gets back to that. At the same time, it's still whiskey-soaked growls and throaty spewing from him. It's punk and metal and rock and everything mixed together. It is Kory Clarke, who he is now. And I'm going to play the song Out on Bail because, as I read in an interview, it has kind of a funny story. So he wrote it about a time he was in a band and apparently had a major disagreement with another guy in the band and got kicked out of the band. And then he called the guy at his house and said, I'm going to come to your house with a baseball bat and it's going right over your head. And within like 12 hours, he, of course, had the police calling him and a report had been filed, and the detective called him and said, hey, if I have to come find you, then you're going to go to Rikers. If you come down here now, I think we can make this a little easier for you. You just fill out some paperwork. We'll put you in the tank for a little while.
Holding cell.
Yeah, we'll put you in the tank for a little while, and then you can get out. And that's what he did. So that's what he wrote this song about, Out on Bail.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
you make some veiled threats, but not actual threats. You gotta get creative with it. I'm bringing a baseball bat. We're gonna play some wiffle ball. Maybe some other things might happen.
Do you like sports?
Because I got a signed baseball bat I'm going to give to you very rapidly.
All right. So here's some brand new Warrior Soul for you, Out on Bail.
Of rocking hard, only tattoos of battle scars. You married to influence, just an a-hole with 8 bad friends. Gotta get a lawyer, gotta get him quit. Gonna cost some money for sure. Job of life, wire ain't paying for it, cause it's hot plating up nose. Don't like getting arrested, being tailed by detectives. Took 2 weeks to find me. What they wanted me for, well, I just do not agree. I'm out on bail. Yeah, I'm out of jail. Yeah, I'm out on bail. That fascist phony was a screamer, dirty dog down double dealer. Me and Chaz were in that bullshit band. They never had a chance, and that's a fucking fact. Suck it. I left a message, I'd break your head. You couldn't confront me, so you called your big friends instead. Now I'm out on bail, and I'm looking for you. I'm message on your machine. It took them 2 weeks to find me. By the time I was in the clink, it was 2 hours till I'm free. Now I'm out on bail, looking for you. Yeah, I'm out of jail, out on the loose. Put your hands together, we are rocking out. Ooh, yeah, come on and let me know what you're gonna do now. Oh, Lord, come on. I'm out of jail. Looking for you. I'm out on bail.
There's a lot of Sunset Strip in that song.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's.
Stephen Pearcy would be envious of that one.
But you get the throat vocals.
Yeah, he's about that same point in his career right now, I believe.
I don't know how many albums Kory has left in him because, man, that
That's
throat is
pushing it.
It's getting there.
That's rough.
It's getting there, but it's still, for some reason, it has this appeal to me.
Yeah, I mean,
still
it's
like
gritty.
It's just gnarly.
Yeah, he's not trying to sing torch songs or ballads.
Yeah, absolutely gnarly. And these guys are
That
actually
would be pretty hilarious to hear him
do a ballad.
do some ballad. I can't even imitate it.
Have you?
Every rose has a sword.
Have you heard Bon Jovi? You need to go YouTube Bon Jovi on tour right now.
Oh no!
Oh,
has he lost it?
Oh, it's bad.
Oh no!
It's so bad. I mean, so much so that I'm seeing multiple articles about it, and people talking about I left the show.
Oh,
It's
you
that
know, you got to bow out, man. These people are just not bowing out gracefully.
Yeah. It's one thing for Kory Clarke to do Warrior Soul, and it's whiskey soaked, and
Bon Jovi.
He's owning it. This is what he
she's
does.
a little runaway.
But Bon Jovi's still trying to sing
He's
that
in his
stuff.
60s.
Yeah, man, it's horrible. Whew. Anyway, Warrior Soul will be playing in the UK in May, and they're playing Germany in November. Who knows? Maybe they'll be coming to a whiskey-soaked bar near you soon. I would totally
Maybe not
go
as
see
smoky as it used to be.
Yeah, it may not be as smoky anymore, but man, I would go see this band in a heartbeat. Never got a chance to see them.
I think it'd be entertaining just to go. It might be a train wreck, but I'd go see it.
It's like us going to see a Wasp.
Yeah, that's going to be
later this year.
He's going to have a
It's
girdle.
a spectacle.
Very plump wasp.
Oh,
Carpenter
man.
wasp.
Yes. Well, that's what I have here. That's how Warrior Soul have ended up here to 2022.
Hey, he made
Very
it that
different
long.
than where
Sounds
they
like
started.
somebody that would have had a story where it ended about 2002.
Yeah,
With
it's just
something
true.
happening. Somebody taking him. Of all the people that he's pissed off, all the bad decisions he's made, somebody would have taken him out a long time ago.
He's
But
lived life.
He's
though.
lived life, and he's did it on his terms. They weren't always the best terms, but they were his terms.
He's a true artist. You know, he still does his paintings, and he still does a lot of ranting. You know, he's somewhat dangerous
Make
when
a
you.
career out of that. That's
Yeah.
great. Nobody listens to me when I rant.
Yeah, he comes across kind of dangerous, and people still don't know how to take him. He's still
Yeah.
pushing buttons. So you know a thing or two about that.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. That's hearsay.
Gotta like that. So that's what I have for you. We will check you out next time. Who knows what we're gonna do? Until then,
See ya.
later.